Good afternoon and welcome to this, the number 5 in the series of lunchtime learning, what we describe as risk management in small bites. Today it's the first in a series of 3 about reporting. This one is rolling up the detail and reporting to the board. First, a quick word about ourselves. I know some of you are new, lots of returning people, that's great. We're, like a lot of you, we're experienced risk and compliance professionals, and we try to keep our skills sharp by being members of various organizations like the Institute of Risk Management, Institute of Banking, Institute of Directors, Compliance Ireland, Chartered Accountants, Information Security. So we get involved and we keep our skills sharp so that we can discuss solutions with you. Obviously, the bigger picture here is that we want to be able to help you solve your GRC problems. I'm involved in standards development in that I chair the Risk Management Standards Committee in Ireland, and I represent Ireland on the TC262, that's the ISO Technical Committee for Risk Management Standards. We have about 200 customers in financial services generally, credit unions, brokers, fund management, and in the not-for-profit space, housing associations, charities, sporting organizations. So that's us. We supply a solution, as I said, in governance, risk and compliance. Harvey Samuel Firestone, you probably know Firestone tires. Yes, that's the same Firestone. Said, success is the sum of the details, or the sum of details. Can't read my own. Success is the sum of details. And I think what he meant there was somebody's got to do the detail, and it's only through focus maybe on the detail that you have the overall success. But today I'm talking about rolling up that detail for a board. And this might look like a lecture in report design, but I think it's just important to set the basis here that if you are designing a report for whatever meeting, whether it's the board or whether it's a risk and compliance meeting, think about the purpose of the report. Is it as an input to decision making, some particular decision at that meeting? Is it because you need evidence of good governance, and certainly showing a good risk report and having a good robust discussion on it is evidence that you will need to provide to a regulator at some stage? Are you reporting on progress or on performance in the last month, last 3 months? Is that what is the key purpose of the report? Or are you reporting back on a task, in which case the report might be very specific and short? Or is the purpose of the report to convey the need to take a certain action in a certain direction? Maybe it's additional resources. I think if you think about the purpose of the report, it'll help you certainly design the report and get the right information in the report. You also got to think about your audience and their level of understanding of the subject. If you're giving a lot of detail about a very, I suppose, specific subject like risk, and maybe not all of your audience is as au fait with the terms as you are, you might overwhelm them with too much detail. So bear that in mind. Also think, what do the readers of this report, what do they want? What do they need? Again, go back to the purpose. What do they need for that decision? And to help you decide on how much information you're going to put in, think how much time will be allocated to this particular item at the meeting. The reality is at board meetings, risk is just one of many agenda items, and it might only have a 10-minute slot. If you submit a 40, 50-page report for a 10-minute slot, even if they've got the report a week beforehand, too much detail, I would say. And a lot of the detail will not be read. So focus what you want to say on fewer pages. Thinking about what directors want, I think they want to see a lot of green. They want that assurance that things are under control or being managed, that the organization is compliant, because that's their primary goal. To oversee the organization, not to do the detail, but to make sure that it is being managed, whether it's risk or compliance. And because they have set the objectives, they are interested in what threatens the objectives. And that is, if your risk register is a true reflection of what is important in the organization, then it will be reflecting what's threatening the objectives. And remember, somebody's got to do the detail. So you will have the detail behind, but you don't necessarily need it all in the report. How about this for a report? 112 pages, the Global Risks Report at the WAF. Yeah, if you have time, have a read. Interesting, but this is what not to do. Not 112 pages, please. Now, some weeks ago in one of the earlier lunchtime learning slots, we did the bow tie technique for risk assessment, and we talked about going from the high level to the detail. Well, I'm reversing that today, and I'm saying let's go from the detail to the high level. And I'm taking an area that is that I can well relate to, the IT area. And this is just 13 detailed risks, but I could equally have put 26 in there. If you put that kind of detail in a report to the board, their eyes would glaze over. They don't need all of this detail, especially when most of it is being well managed. Now, for many years, IT people have been summarizing their IT in 3 letters, really: CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. If you think about it, all the risks in IT cover one of these 3. Confidentiality is clear. You want to keep the information confidential and only allow people who are authorized to access the information, whether they're outsiders or insiders. Only authorized people should access that information. You want to maintain the integrity of the data. You don't want it manipulated intentionally, accidentally. You don't want it corrupted. So you have to ensure that it is remains true to reality. And availability. You want to make sure that information is available for reporting, for access when people need it. So you've got to consider power outages, even more so this year, equipment failure. And what do you do to ensure the availability? I'm going to say 99% of the time. So you could have 3 risks. And if you said, okay, we'll summarize it in 3 risks. This is one I did for a customer. And yes, I can see the highest risk is the confidentiality. And is this summarized? Yeah. But it's still an awful lot of text. And whereas I thought this was good initially, it's probably still too much detail for the board. It'll be good at some level in the organization because it has a lot of interesting detail. But how do we get that to a level where the board are happier? And I think it's through pictures. Now, this is a sample of pictures we have in our dashboard. So I can see on the heat map, heat maps are good for getting an idea of, okay, we have one risk really that's in the red area that needs addressing, and you can drill down on that. The compliance picture, yes, I can see we're about 60% compliant, but we have a lot of work to do. So pictures do really paint 1,000 words. But it's not a dashboard I want. I want to communicate the current status across the organization. How do I do that in one page? So here's an idea. And I'm really trying to communicate that try and use graphics to communicate the big picture. I think that's the message I would get across. And here I've chosen the stacked histogram or bar graph. And what I have here in top left, risk ratings. If you categorize risks in your organization, let's say information security risks, operational risks, legal and regulatory, and so on. Then in this picture on the top left on risk ratings, I'm saying to the directors, most of the risks are well managed. They're in the green and we're happy. But there are some that are near the boundaries of what we're comfortable with. And indeed, there are probably 10 that are outside of our appetite. They're not within the range where we would feel comfortable. So there's obviously work to do. And if I look at key risk indicators, well, it's a lot of green, but it's not all green. And a few areas like in outsourcing where I've got a concern. Now, the commentary box on the top right is where I could probably summarize my concerns. Now, this is a lot of red. admittedly, and it's purely for this demonstration, but you can see I can summarize a lot of things. I can show the incidents. Yes, we've had 3 incidents recently. Now put a time frame on that, maybe in the last month, the last quarter. This communicates a lot of information immediately, and the commentary box could be where you draw highlights. Now I would hope that when you're presenting this, you have a lot less red than I have, but this is just to give you an idea. If we take the information security one, and let's say you want to drill down, this is the drill down I would do. And what I'm doing here is I'm focusing just on the red bits, because you don't need a discussion on the green bits, really. You want to assure people, yes, look, 85, 90% is green and it's well managed. But it's the red bits I'm concerned about, and you should be concerned about. And look, here's the detail on those red bits. And I'm showing the 2 risks from the roll-up. These were 2 of the 13 that you saw earlier, where I'm concerned. And we have action to take. I'm showing the open findings. One particular one again, this is information security, and you might have a page for each of the areas in the organization. Again, summary. Anybody can read this page, I would say, in about less than 10 seconds and get the picture. I can see there's one open task that is in the red, that is urgent, obviously. That's why it's in the red. Conduct a penetration test on expenses app, because guess what? We've had an incident, and these are probably linked. So that's it. Summarize and draw pictures, I would say. Hopefully you got some inspiration from that. It is short and sweet, but happy to take any questions. We have 2 minutes maybe, in which we can take a question. So let's have a look. Okay, I'll wait a minute, but I would encourage you to base the length of the report based on the duration of the meeting. I mean, once a year, there's probably going to be a longer meeting at the board where they're discussing risk and discussing the risk framework. Then you'll have more details in that clearly. But for the monthly reports, what I'm showing is probably the monthly. Try and do a summary and pictures and keep the detail to where it is required for discussion. Now, as I said, and as Mr. Firestone said, you know, success is in the detail, really. You need to do the details so that you can confidently talk about the high level and be prepared for questions. Okay, I'm prepared for questions, but okay, there are none coming in. So there's one, so let me have a look. Can these reports be downloaded from calQrisk system, Maria? The short answer is yes. These are custom reports. What we would do is we would customize it for your environment, because everybody's framework is slightly different. But yes, we could do something similar in calQrisk if required. Okay, is there another one? Okay. All right, if there's no more questions, then thank you for tuning in. And remember, if you're interested, go to our YouTube channel. If you subscribe and if you miss one of these, you'll automatically get an email to tell you that there's a new video up on the YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.